Alright guys, what's up? Rosario here, back with another video. Today I'm gonna take a break from the usual fitness content and I'm gonna focus on something a bit more personal, which is my experience of living in both London and Milan. For those who don't know, I moved out of Naples in 2018 and I moved to London, and I've lived there for nearly 8 years, leaving in April 2026, so just a couple of months ago. So I thought it would be an interesting experiment to compare these two major cities in Europe. I know London is not Europe anymore, but you know what I mean. And just see, which one lives best to their expectations. Now, London is perceived as the city of opportunities, hustle culture, uh, I don't know, very frenetic lifestyle. There's always something going on. It's a little bit like the New York of this continent. When it comes to Milan, instead, it is still a big city, quite busy, a lot going on all the time, but it's also a bit more chilled, a bit more laid back, and that's obviously rooted in Italian culture, the dolce vita and the aperitif lifestyle kind of thing. So I want to go into this because it's not going to be from a tourist perspective, but it's going to be from the point of view of someone who's actually experienced these two cities quite deeply. So I know what I'm talking about, and although like my experience is not going to reflect everyone else's, I still think it's interesting to share what I've seen and what I've learned from these years of living abroad. Okay, so let's start with the first problem that everyone has to face when they move to a new city, which is rent. When it comes to finding a decent place to live, both Milan and London are very problematic. But I would say that London is just insane and on a completely different level. When I don't know, I remember when I first moved in 2018, I could find a decent room even for five, 600. Sure, a small room, not in zone one, obviously, but still, I will be able to find a spot. When now those prices have just doubled up, especially after COVID, is just the rent market has gone downhill. Now, the crazy part is that for the crazy money that you pay, you don't even get much value, and you see those places that haven't been renovated in 20 years, or maybe they're just so far out of town that it doesn't even feel like London anymore, and you had to commute for like an hour and a half. Unfortunately, this reality has just been normalized. So unless you're a very high earner, and even those like they cannot afford to live in zone one, unless you have a very consistent paycheck, you're not gonna be able to find a decent spot in London. Zone one now is basically just like for millionaires and for Airbnbs. So forget about, even like if you're on your own, like forget about finding a decent spot in town, because I don't know, so a lot of people, they end up, with someone just to be able to find a flat and split the rent is literally that bad. Now, although Milan has its own issues in this department and compared to the average Italian city is definitely very expensive, it is a bit more manageable. And for the price of one bedroom in London, you can even find like a one bedroom apartment over here. So also like one thing worth mentioning is that the finishing of the apartment here is much, much better. London houses are just terrible, and everyone knows about the landlord treatment where everything gets covered in the thick white paint and it just looks like crap. Here in Milan, instead, it might be just the energy of the city that it's more, I would say, careful when it comes to designing and things like that. But just the interiors are so much nicer. The finishing are much more high quality. You get much bigger space for what you pay. So again, like it is still expensive if you earn a regular salary, but still is much much worth it than in London. So in that department, like London is just a big no for me, and it's actually one of the main reasons why I decided to leave is that just not just rent, but the cost of living in general has become so unsustainable. And I feel like for the money that I'm spending, I'm getting so little value that it's not just worth it anymore. Now let's move on to the next section, which is about transportation and daily life in general. When it comes to transport and infrastructure, now they're both very solid options. Obviously, London is a much bigger scale. The tube is incredible, although it's dropped in quality a little bit in the past years, but you know lateness and cancellation have become more frequent, but still it is an incredible network of trains and buses and whatever you need to travel, whatever hours of the day, you can find something in London, which is just incredible. Obviously in Milan everything is much smaller scale, but that's how it needs to be because we're comparing, I don't know, I feel like oranges and apples because London is almost 9 million people. Milan is over 1 million people. So it has to be in much smaller scale. Still, subway here works very well. There's also a very good tram line and many buses. Obviously, late at night it becomes a bit more complicated. It's not like London where you can find buses at any time of the day. But still, I think I've never had major issues here with moving around. Also, very important thing is that distances here are much shorter. In London, it is normal to commute an hour plus to go to work or to even go like literally anywhere in town. While in Milan, I don't know, you can take a train and in like half hour you're on the other side of town. So that is very, very convenient and it makes me save so much time and it makes the whole experience much more enjoyable because I don't waste so much time in commuting. God knows how many hours I've spent underground just changing from one line to the other in London. I don't even want to think about it. When it comes to like services for your daily life needs, I was actually surprised to see how expensive supermarkets are here in Milan, even compared to London. Like, yes, sure, Tesco, Sainsbury's, they're not cheap, but even like when you buy on Amazon, like here in Italy, is crazy expensive because they have one of the highest VAT in Europe. In London, instead, if you're smart about the way you buy, you can actually save a lot of money. So in that sense, like when it comes to day-to-day needs, I would say London is better because yeah, it's not just more options, but also on the cheaper side of things. Milan instead, even for basic things, like fruits and vegetables, which sure are higher quality, but at the same time they're much more expensive. Okay, now one of my favorite sections, which is gym and fitness culture. Now, obviously, as someone working in fitness, talking about this part is very important to me. Honestly, London wins here like hands down. Italy has obviously amazing fitness equipment brands like Technogym and Panata. So the equipment quality itself, it's not the issue here. I think it's more a matter of space. Obviously, I'm talking about Milan, which is a big city. If you move outside the city, you might find bigger gyms. But honestly, when I train here in most gyms in my local area, or even if I move out of my local area a little bit, they're all like so small, so tiny. It feels like you're training in a train car. Like they're so tiny, and especially when the gym is packed, it is a nightmare. Like I've seen like I don't know women doing kickbacks and people having to jump to skip their legs because they physically don't have space to move around. It's that bad. And I'm talking about like the gyms that are, I don't know, most popular, like Fit Active or, other brands like that. Now, the UK equivalent would be Pure Gym, which, like, not every Pure Gym is amazing, but the average Pure Gym is not just more spacious, but also the vibes in there are much better. It doesn't feel like so commercial and so low cost. So in that sense, I've much rather train in UK gyms because of the culture, because of the environment, because of the vibe, rather than training in Italian gyms. And so overall, like I think the UK and London specifically wins here. Some of the best gyms in the world are located in London for a reason, and it's that the fitness culture is major there. Now, when it comes to food and restaurants, obviously, like this is not even a competition. Like Milan wins hands down, and Italy in general wins hands down because that's literally the one thing we're famous for. Um, so the main thing with food in London, and when you go out eating in restaurants, is that the food is so damn overpriced and it's so disappointing. You never feel like you're getting the right quality for the price you're paying. Obviously, it is mainly a matter of ingredients because in Italy there's much better weather, so everything grows naturally here, like fruits and vegetables, so they taste more natural, they taste like, what they're supposed to be tasting. Everything is imported in the UK, so everything feels so watery, so like it's not the right shape of ripeness and so on. But I don't want to go too deep into this. It's just a matter of the freshness of the ingredients, and also about standards. Like I've literally eaten food in Italian airports that tasted much better than food I had in I don't know, like UK restaurants, which is insane to me. So honestly, Italy naturally has better food, better produce, and a lot of the food imported to the UK comes from Italy. So like it is just normal that you get used to a higher standards of food. And honestly, in that sense, I'm very happy that I made the move because between the weather, the food, and the lifestyle, it has been a major improvement for me. Now, I've touched upon weather. So when I was talking about food, so it is something that I wanted to talk about because it's also another aspect that made the decision um, like so obvious for me, and it's the fact that my mood, my physical well-being, uh, like how my body works and reacts is highly dependent on weather and mainly on sun that I'm getting. On the sunlight in London is and the UK overall like is almost like a luxury. That's why when there is a one sunny day, like everyone goes out because they're literally not used to that, and that's very very important. Like your body can literally thrive, and you digest better, you think better, you feel more energized, everything works better when you get your daily intake of sunlight. And I was actually surprised of how sunny of a city Milan is. Like literally every day for the past 2 months, nearly every day it's been sunny, and it's much much better, you know, from that point of view. London is notoriously gray and miserable for a reason because most of the year is like that. It's not even about the rain because I don't think it rains that much. Most of the people in London they don't even carry an umbrella. It's just I don't know, like it's that thin rain that just I don't know. It's more annoying than actually making you wet. So it's not a problem of rain. It's a matter of sunlight. Like it's every day there, like the sky is covered and it's gray and you don't want to go out and you feel depressed. It all comes down to the weather. So in that sense, like Milan and Italy obviously like wins hands down. It's not even a fair comparison. um, yeah, but I wanted to mention like one thing, and people who have lived in London would understand exactly what I'm talking about. London is so great that when you have that one sunny day, especially when it's afternoon, a sunset, you're riverside, you're having a cold one, and just it's the perfect spot, perfect weather, not too hot, not too warm, and you're just having a fun chat with your friend. It's just the best feeling ever. In that sense, like in that specific moment, London is the best city ever. Now we need to get into the grim part of this video because I'm gonna be talking about job opportunities. Now, in terms of careers, you might think, well, London, like it's one of the best cities out there, like one of the best cities in the world. Milan as well, like compared to Italian standards, obviously offers more opportunities. And yeah, like in theory, you have a lot of the biggest industries in these cities. A lot of companies like set up businesses both in Milan and in London. So there's a lot of business going on between these two cities. And but I also think people romanticize a lot like the true opportunities that you get here, and in London as well. Like back in the days, maybe it was much better when the cost of living was more manageable, and I think there was more attention to people well-being and balance between job and personal life. But now this balance has completely disappeared. And if you're a regular person that's just looking for a normal job and wants to have, say, a modest life, I think even that has become a luxury. And in order to able a normal life where you can afford a decent apartment, being able to save some money, and maybe even have a little bit of money to have some fun or go on a vacation, whatever, that is incredibly hard in both London and Milan. The reason is that the job market today is completely, I don't know, I think it's doomed. And it's that there are many reasons to that, but mainly feels like when you're applying for a job, it's like a humiliation ritual. Like you send so many CVs and you get so many rejections. You have to send hundreds and hundreds of CV just to be able to arrange a couple of interviews, and you hear the same things from everyone. Oh, this is like a family. We always value our employees. We offer competitive salary and all that crap. Not obviously don't fall for any of that because there is no such thing, and it's very rare to find a company where there is structure at the top that actually cares about the people at the bottom. So the whole thing about opportunities and level up, scaling your life, and all the, I don't know, the self improvement thing, it is true if you're already at the top. So if you're, I don't know, if you come from a small town and you have a very good business there, you earn some money, then you move to Milan, yes, you can scale up your business. There's many opportunities, more customers, etc. But if you think that if you have nothing and then you go to either one of those cities and suddenly you're gonna find the opportunities of a lifetime, they were just waiting for you, I wouldn't, I don't know. I would completely forget about that notion because the land of opportunities is not a thing anymore. So today, just in order to have a normal life, you need to be incredibly exceptional and you need to work so hard just to have a little bit in return. So that is very depressing because it means that there is no like a balance anymore between the fact that if you work hard, you get a lot, and if you work not so hard, you get a little less, but you still get enough to live comfortably. That has completely disappeared. So I think um, Milan, it is a little bit healthier, but again, that's rooted in Italian culture, the way we perceive our job. You'll see it, from example, that around lunchtime, everyone disappears because all the shops close for a few hours and people go home, they have lunch with their loved ones, they have a nap, and then they go back to work. This is very common here, but it's a notion completely absent in London, as most businesses are literally open all day, every day for like 12, 14, 16 hours, whatever there is. So, yeah, about the job opportunities, I've been incredibly disappointed in most cities because it didn't matter how hard I worked. It's just the way the market is set up at the moment that I don't know, you're just set up to fail. There's not enough opportunities. There's a lot of AI going on. They skim through CVs and they just reject your application straight away if they notice few red flags. That a lot of companies, they're not even taking the time to meet the applicants. So a lot of people are feel like, I don't know, like they just wasting so much time in this, and it's true. and when they get a job, it's just like the amount of stress and the amount of hours they have to work compared to the pay and the, I don't know, the wellness they get out of it is completely unbalanced. Now, let's move on to something a bit more lighthearted, and it's entertainment and culture. When it comes to entertainment, obviously London is one of the best cities that I've ever experienced. And it's not even about like, you go out and you go to a theater, you go to the movies, you go to a club, whatever. You can literally go out on a random night and then you end up having the time of your life because there's just so much going on at every corner, especially if you go in the city center and you just move from, location to location. It's just so much fun to walk around at night, when the weather is nice and everyone's out and there is, I don't know, like buskers that are playing music or someone doing some weird thing in the streets. So London in that sense is a very entertaining city. Milan as well, but it's much more relaxed. Like it's much more common to see people just, I don't know, chilling at a bar, having an Aperol spritz, and just chatting rather than doing anything specific. That's more like the Italian way in general, like Mediterranean culture way, where we go out very late at night to mainly to have food, but then also to have drinks, like some wine or a spritz, and then we just chat. Like we don't need to do anything specific. In London, you obviously you have a bit more variety. Like whatever you're into, it might be the nichest thing ever, but you're gonna find someone that does it, and you can join them. And a lot of people will because it's also a very like lonely city, Milan as well, but London specifically is a very lonely city, so people are desperate to find company to share their interests. Yeah, that's part of also the social culture where, and it's also related to the problem with the job situation that I explained before. People have so little free time that when they have it, they're either exhausted and they just spend all the time like laying in bed and resting, which I get it. But at the same time, like you want to go out and do something because at least you feel like you are in control of your time and it's not your job that is in control of your time, which is one of the most depressing feeling you can feel. So yeah, in terms of entertainment, it's also a bit different. Like London, um, is a bit more obviously modern forms of entertainment. There's way more movie theaters. There is even when you go experience like a play, it's at an actual theater. It's much more modern, audience oriented. Milan is more like traditional Italian culture, so you're gonna find like more like older plays or it's more like artsy in that sense, more like design things. If you're into that, Milan is amazing. London is much more, I don't know, like to yes, more like of that shock factor, more like technology and things like that. So it is different vibes, but whatever you're into, you can find something in either Milan or London. But yeah, again, it depends on personality, personal preferences, and things like that. Now, in terms of safety, I personally never experienced anything serious in either cities. Milan is very, very safe. I never had a single issue here in those 2 years that I've been traveling here, although I've been living here actively for just a couple of months. In London, it is a bit more dangerous, I think, and I've had a couple of episodes where I was a bit on edge, uh, but it's also like not as bad as they depicted it on social media. It's not like there is knife crime and bike stealing at every corner of the city. That also would be unfair to say. So the problem is that it is a big city with a lot of people. So the more people you have, the more bad people committing crime you're gonna have. So the fact is that it's also about luck. So it's about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. London, like if you're walking around, yeah, in a neighborhood that you don't know, and it's like 3 a.m. and I don't know, you have a Rolex on your wrist, like you're kind of like looking for trouble there. It's not like to justify the people who do it, but just I don't know, be smart about what you do and where you do it, when you do it. Milan, in that sense, honestly, feels like very safe. Like even my neighbor, like there's a lot of people from different culture, different countries, but it feels very chill, like very relaxed. Everyone goes on about their business. No one wants to bother you. So, in that sense, I feel much more safe in Milan. But in London, like maybe because I lived there for so many years, I felt I don't know. I felt alright almost everywhere I went, and I never had any major issues. Now, overall lifestyle is probably the biggest difference between these two cities. London feels fast, feels ambitious, feels like it's constantly moving and never stops. And it's a city that once it absorbs you, it's very hard to get out of it because it becomes addictive. There's always something happening. The scale of the city is bigger and larger, and it's hard to explain you know how it feels unless you lived in it. Milan feels a bit slower, a bit more balanced, which something that at this moment in my life I really need and I really appreciate. Distances are shorter, as I mentioned. It feels less chaotic. People seem to be better behaved in general, and also they are smarter about separating work and life. Things like, I don't know, like long lunches, coffee breaks, spending time outdoors are very important here because it's a way to recharge and find a bit of inner peace. In London, sometimes it feels like every day is like one extremely long day at work, and literally, like you go home, you visit your home rather than living there. You have a shower, grab a quick bite, go to sleep, and then it's just time to repeat it all over again. So, in that sense, I don't miss that one bit. So, at the end of the day, I generally love both cities, but for different reasons. London gave me some unforgettable experiences and helped me grow massively as a not just as a professional, but also as a person. It's still one of the most exciting cities in the world, but right now Milan feels more aligned with the kind of lifestyle that I want. It's a bit calmer, it's a bit slower, it's a bit more balanced. And honestly, after almost 8 years in London, I desperately needed that. So I'm curious, like, which city would you choose, London or Milan, and for what reasons? So, guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.